You ever feel like there's just too much information coming at you, like you're drowning in it,
Yeah.
and you just want someone to tell you what actually matters?
Oh, absolutely. It's that feeling of overload, right?
Exactly. Well, welcome to the deep dive. We try to cut through that noise for you, pull out the really key stuff from the sources we're looking at.
And today's sources are, well, they're an interesting mix, aren't they? We've got the astrological outlook for May 21st, 2025.
Okay, cosmic weather.
And then, completely different gear, we have a story of the day, a captain's log from the starship USS Horizon, dealing with some pretty strange space phenomena.
Right, star charts and starships. Seems like totally different worlds.
That's the question, isn't it? What connects them? That's our mission today, seeing how these two very different perspectives might actually echo each other.
And figuring out what practical insights we can maybe pull out for you, especially navigating this kind of buzzy energy that seems to be around mental stuff, communication, new things.
Yeah, that heightened energy seems to be the link.
Okay, let's dive in then. Where do we start?
Let's kick off with the astrology. Tuning into the cosmic vibes for May 21st, 2025, the really big shift is the sun moving into Gemini.
Gemini. Yeah, I always think communication, curiosity, maybe a bit flighty. What's the forecast say?
You're on the right track. Think of it like your brain's curiosity dial gets turned way up. A real surge in wanting new info, exploring things with almost a youthful energy.
Hmm.
It's about learning lots of different things. The advice is really to embrace that beginner's mind. Be open, be flexible, try new ways of thinking, connecting. Mental agility is key.
That sounds great, but yeah, flighty comes to mind too. Potential to get scattered. The forecast mentioned something about the moon in Aquarius scoring the sun in the morning. That sounds like friction.
It can be, yeah. It's
That-
framed as a possible crisis of consciousness, like a turning point,
Okay.
where your personal drive, that's the sun, might feel pulled by these broader, maybe more innovative or even rebellious Aquarian urges from the moon.
So, like my goals versus maybe what society expects or challenging my own old ideas.
Exactly. It could be about squaring your personal path with bigger trends, or, yeah, just getting a nudge to question your assumptions, a sort of cosmic, are you sure about that moment.
Okay, a little nudge. Then the moon shifts into Pisces later that morning. That feels softer. Different vibe entirely.
Totally different. Pisces brings in this much more intuitive, spiritual, kind of ethereal energy. It's less about pure logic, more about empathy, depth, seeing the bigger picture.
Hmm.
So the day could start with that mental, maybe slightly jarring reevaluation, but then shift towards feeling things more deeply, seeking more compassion, more understanding.
Interesting. So that tension first, then a move towards reflection. How might that play out?
Well, it suggests maybe processing those initial mental insights on a more emotional, intuitive level as the day goes on, moving from the what to the how does this feel, or what does this mean deep down?
Gotcha. Now, there's also the sun sextile Saturn mentioned. Saturn usually feels more grounding, structured.
Precisely. That's the anchor. This aspect brings discipline, focus. It's about taking those zippy Gemini ideas, all that potential, and actually building something with them, making them real.
Okay, so not just letting ideas float away.
Right. The term used is structured dreaming, like harnessing that creative buzz, but giving it a framework, directing it towards something solid and meaningful.
I like that. Structured dreaming.
It's also apparently a good time to look at your goals and consciously prune away the ones that aren't really relevant anymore. Let go of the old stuff to make space.
So that morning tension might even help clarify what to let go of before Saturn helps you build the new thing. Makes sense.
Yeah, it could definitely work like that.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The whole Gemini season, from late May to late June. What's the bigger picture there?
Expect life to feel like it's speeding up a bit. Curiosity gets a major boost. Communication lines are humming emails, calls, chats, you name it. And you'll likely face more choices, more options.
Which can be good, but also maybe overwhelming.
Exactly. The forecast stresses that navigating this well takes clarity. You need clear thinking, but also openness and flexibility. Adaptability is really important.
So lots of potential.
Huge potential, yeah. For breakthroughs, new opportunities. It fuels this desire for new experiences, for meeting people, sharing ideas, learning stuff. It's really an invitation to expand your thinking, expand your connections.
Sounds energizing, but I keep coming back to that scattered feeling. Potential for mental burnout. How do we manage that?
That's the big caveat. The forecast warns directly about that classic Gemini trait. Starting a million things, finishing maybe? None.
Uh-oh. Guilty as charged sometimes.
Well, we all can be. The key it suggests is integrating things. It talks about a mind-spirit union. Basically, don't just live in your head. Connect your thoughts with your emotions, your intuition.
Okay, so not just intellectualizing everything.
Right. Process things more deeply. Align your thinking with your gut feelings, your values, and crucially, anchor those ideas. Don't just talk about them, do something. Ground them in action.
And avoid the downsides, like gossip or just talking heads.
Yeah, exactly. Watch out for just, mental noise, getting caught up in trivial stuff, or communicating purely from the head without considering the heart behind it.
That really lands, that need for clarity and intention. So for you listening, if you're feeling that information rush, this Astro View gives a kind of weather map for your mind. Yeah, helps
Yeah.
understand the currents.
Well put. Now, ready to shift dimensions? Let's beam aboard the USS Horizon.
Okay, sci-fi time, our story of the day. They're heading into the Lyrial Expanse, also called the Singing Veil. Sounds trippy.
Found it very evocative. They're going in because there are reports of subspace messages speeding up inexplicably and some weird neurological effects on nearby settlements.
Neurological face. Okay, my ears just perked up. Connection to the Gemini mental buzz.
Seems like it, doesn't it? The captain's log mentions these converging energy fields that seem to mess with people's thoughts and emotions when they get close.
Whoa, okay. So what's the science officer, Commander Solon, think is going on? The Singing Veil.
So Aslan has this theory about subspace folding, really complex stuff. He thinks it creates something he calls a psychic lattice.
A psychic lattice. Okay, unpack that.
His idea is that within this lattice, thoughts, intentions, feelings, they actually manifest as energy, and that energy directly interacts with your brain, your neural patterns.
Seriously. So your thoughts literally shape the reality around you there.
That's the hypothesis. It amplifies everything: curiosity, ambition, but also fear, anxiety. Imagine your mental state having that kind of direct, amplified impact.
Mind-bending is right. So even just a passing worry could get magnified. Yikes. The log mentions the crew experiencing something called the overmind surge. What happens?
It sounds uncannily like that potential Gemini overload we were just talking about.
Also,
The crew gets caught up in these feverish debates, jumping from one idea to the next, starting projects, dropping them halfway through. Just this whirlwind of mental activity, but without real focus.
wow, parallel alert.
Big time. And interestingly, just like the Gemini social pull, they also feel this intense craving for connection. They have these super long, intense conversations, like they're trying to process the mental flood by talking it out constantly.
So brain power and chatter both on overdrive, but chaotic, like the astrological warnings. Captain Voss is worried, I bet.
Definitely. She sees this nexus, as they call it, feeding on their thoughts and emotions, speeding everything up. Her fear is that without focus, without clarity of purpose, the crew could just fragment, lose themselves, lose their connection as a team.
A powerful image for what happens when mental energy runs wild.
It really is. It's a stark warning about undirected energy.
But Solon has a fix.
Mm.
Mind-body harmonizers. Sounds like something you'd want in Gemini season.
Uh-huh, maybe. They're adapted from Vulcan tech, apparently. The idea is to help the crew channel all that amplified thought, that raw mental energy, into focused intention. Give it direction, basically.
Stop the fragmentation.
Exactly. Prevent that chaos Captain Voss was worried about.
It sounds a lot like that structured dreaming idea again, doesn't it? Consciously shaping the mental flow.
It really does. Okay, so the away team finds the source, this ancient crystalline labyrinth. What's that like?
It's described as a living repository of knowledge, like the structure itself holds information.
Whoa.
And inside, the team gets hit with visions, intense flashes of memories, possible futures, even alternate lives. It's presented as a kind of test.
A test of what?
Their ability to integrate everything. Instinct with wisdom, the rational mind with deeper, maybe spiritual understanding. They have to hold on to their clarity amidst this absolute flood of accelerated thought and data to get through.
Another huge parallel, that astrological need to unite mind and spirit to handle the energy.
Yes.
It's right there in the sci-fi story.
It's striking, isn't it? And the final message they get from the beings who built the labyrinth, the ascendants.
What do they say? It comes from this radiant sphere at the center, and it's simple but powerful. Thought without heart is chaos. Heart without thought is stagnation. Balance is the key to transcendence.
Wow. Okay. Thought without heart is chaos. Like the overmind surge or unfocused Gemini energy. Heart without thought is stagnation. Maybe like getting stuck in feelings without action.
That's a great way to put it. And that balance is the key. It echoes that astrological mind-spirit union almost perfectly.
It really does. So what happens to the Horizon crew after this? Do they just go back to normal?
They managed to use the harmonizers and their newfound understanding to recalibrate the nexus, make the region stable again. Communications go back to normal speed.
But are they normal?
Not entirely. The log says they retain this heightened sense of awareness. It's like a permanent upgrade, but also a constant reminder of that need for balance. A gift and a warning, the log calls it.
And the captain's final thought.
Voss concludes that speed of thought means nothing without clarity of purpose, and that real exploration isn't just about space, it's about understanding ourselves, our own minds, our sentience.
Okay, the overlap is undeniable. Both sources pointing to this intense period of mental energy, communication, potential overwhelm.
And the absolute critical need for focus, for clarity, and for integrating our thinking with our deeper feelings and intuition.
Yeah. So bringing it all together, what's the synthesis? What's the big takeaway when you layer the stars over the starship log?
Well, the common thread is loud and clear, isn't it? We're talking about a period defined by ramped up mental energy, a real drive for new information, new connections.
But with that shadow side, the risk of getting scattered, overwhelmed by it all.
Exactly. And look how the solutions mirror each other. Astrology says, fortune favors the brave who do the work.
Right, implies action, not just thinking.
And the Stardate log hammers home the need for clarity of purpose. It's saying this energy boost demands focus. You have to direct it.
It's not passive.
Not at all. And that structured dreaming from the astro forecast. It's basically what the mind-body harmonizers do in the story, right?
Yeah, giving shape and direction to all that mental power instead of letting it run wild.
Yeah.
Being intentional.
Intentionality is key. And then there's that core message about integration, astrology's mind and spirit union.
And the ascendant's balanced thought and heart. It's the same fundamental idea, isn't it?
It really is. That integration stops the chaos of pure thought and the stagnation of pure feeling. It's about finding that productive middle ground.
So boiling it down for you, the listener, navigating this kind of energy, what are the practical tips?
Okay, let's list them out. First, yeah, embrace the curiosity, lean into learning new things, new experiences, but
Maybe pick one or two things to actually finish.
exactly, be mindful of follow-through. Second, focus on communication that's clear and heartfelt. Talk from your head and your heart.
Good one. What else?
Find ways to ground yourself. Whatever works for you, mindfulness, nature, exercise, anything that anchors those high-flying ideas in reality and prevents you from just spinning out mentally.
Avoid the burnout. Makes sense.
And reflect a bit. What's worked for you before when things felt this busy or mentally stimulating? Use that past wisdom to guide you now.
Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to.
Right. And finally, stay open to new information for sure, but filter it. Apply some critical thinking, know why you're taking something in, be intentional about your input.
So it sounds like both sources are ultimately saying this can be a really amazing time for growth, for learning, for connection.
Huge potential, yeah. But it requires conscious effort. You have to actively navigate it with intention, with that balance of mind and heart, thought and feeling.
It's not just going to happen passively. You got to steer the ship.
You got it. So summing up, both the stars and the starship story paint a picture of a time buzzing with mental electricity, connection, knowledge.
But they both wave that caution flag. You need focus. You need clarity. You need to keep your head and heart working together.
That's the core message. And for you, trying to get that quick but deep understanding, just knowing these energies are at play can be really helpful, right? It gives you a map to navigate by.
Absolutely. Gives you more awareness, more purpose in how you approach things.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
How can you, personally, right now, actively work on balancing that mental sharpness with that emotional grounding?
Good question.
And are there any ancient constructs in your own life, maybe old lessons learned, deep insights you've had, wisdom from mentors that hold a key message for your journey, your own kind of transcendence, whatever that means to you?
That's definitely something to chew on. Keep asking those questions. Keep digging deeper.
And keep taking those deep dives.
Yeah.
Until next time.